Good morning, campers, and welcome back to Workaholic. I know it's been a while, but I was pretty busy with work the last month. Not going to be an issue in the future, sadly. Get into that a little later. Glad to get back to the series. Thought I'd start it off with an old favorite that just got updated. This is Train Simulator. This is the new 2015 edition. Not going to be in one of the new 2015 content items, since I only have one of them and it doesn't run terribly well on my PC at the moment. A little too much scenery in New York to New Haven, but a lot of the graphical improvements carry over to older levels. In this case, this is the Marias Pass route. We are starting here in Whitefish. We're going to pick up some passengers and just drive until I stop feeling like driving. If we happen to get to the end of the route, then I've talked way too long or cut out a whole lot of silence and nothingness. So we'll see if that actually happens. Probably going to get to around Glacier National Park and stop, I think. I doubt I'll get as far as the end of the level. Anyway, part of why I picked this map is I think this is one of the better looking DLC they've released. And, right away you can see the character models on the platforms have improved ever so slightly. Not terribly much. They still look pretty weird. But, got some lovely scenery here. An old Great Northern switcher parked there, and there's my train. Let's go ahead and let people start boarding here. Watch the people disappear into the train. They don't get anywhere near the doors. They just kind of walk towards the train and vanish. Then, I love this station. This looks like one of the models my dad would have built for his model railroad when I was a kid. It's, just gorgeous. Get up here to our locomotives. You'll notice this is a custom setup I did. This is the Amfleet coaches from the New York to New Haven route, plus the two P-42 Genesis locomotives. That's a separate download you can get. It has some Empire Builder things you can do. This is I just like driving this train set because it's very similar to the one that serves my local community. A train called the Carolinian. Very lovely one. They have to use the old Amfleet coaches because there's a tunnel they go through to get into Washington, D.C. that's too short for the bigger, better superliners, I think they're called. Anyway, let's get this started. Bring up the HUD. Let's go for the minimalist HUD here. Switch the reverser to forward. Oh, good. I notice the textures are kind of blurry in here. That's just kind of what I had to do to get this game running at a good frame rate again. The seems to have taken a little bit of a hit on performance, though it's when you get it running smoother, it's better than ever. Just hard to do that in the first place. What do we got down here? That's emergency brake, I think. Horn sequencer. None of those do anything. That's looks important. Headlights. Let's bring up the full HUD, make sure I got the headlights on properly. Whoops, wrong button. There we are, and let's, there. Yeah. Okay, just two sequences then, that's alright. Alright, so we're gonna run in just full beam headlights. There's a couple tunnels, I just don't want to, have to worry about that. We do have cabin signals here, though the texture is so blurry I don't know that'll be terribly helpful. I'll just have to pay attention, I think. Right, got the reverser set to forward. Let's pull the brake off. Let that depressurize for a moment, and then we will be off. Get our bell going to tell people we're about to start moving. Brakes almost ready. And we are rolling. Alright, we're going to get onto the main line here pretty quick. Stick our heads out the window. Oh yeah, that texture is super blurry. At least the scenery looks alright. Not great, but it's Train Simulator. I don't know what, I don't really expect a whole lot from it. Better than it's looked before, at least. I'm speeding already. That's right, not too terribly worried about speeding. I'll just have to keep an eye on that to make sure I don't derail myself. Like I've derailed this conversation already. Latte. Sunglasses. Interesting choices for the inside of this. Right. So, about a month ago, I had an issue at work. I was a manager at a fast food company that will go unnamed. Sell burgers, that sort of thing. Just fast food. And, had an issue with an employee. Had to keep sending him home, and didn't think that was particularly fair to everyone else who had to work harder just to, there were a couple nights where I had to ask some people to come in and had to ask other people to stay late, and just no one enjoyed that. I didn't like my shifts hinging on whether or not this one employee was going to throw a temper tantrum on a given day. And so I asked the store manager just if she was, because she wasn't firing him, which should have happened the third or fourth time I sent him home. And I just asked her, okay, take him off my shifts. I don't want to work with him. I'm not gonna deal with this anymore. It's like, I don't care if I have to close the store myself a few nights, find someone else, and get him off of my shifts. And had to work with him 5 times the next week. So not only did the general manager not listen to me whatsoever, but the guy actually stayed with the store all the way up until the week I left. And he was supposed to stay there longer than that. He was supposed to outlast me. But so by the that week, the general manager also went on vacation. So came across to me like she just couldn't be bothered because she had more important things to worry about with her time off coming up. We were extremely understaffed that week, had been left with very little help, and we all wound up getting pretty crazy overworked. Ran out of a whole bunch of stuff. There was 2 nights that week where I had no French fries. It's a fast food place with no French fries. That's so dumb. How do you run out of French fries? They're frozen. They're good for like a month. You should never get that far behind. And oh, got a railroad crossing coming up. And but anyway, so had some supply issues, and wound up working a shift with another manager that was just so incredibly condescending to me. She talks to me like I'm just functionally unable to perform my job, and I've been working at this store at this point almost 2 years now, and they bumped me up to manager after less than 1. Didn't pay me like a manager until earlier this year, but we'll get to that later. And but this is a person who makes probably about twice what I make at the store, does half as much work as me, and she's just talking to me like I'm a complete idiot because I'm trying to get people to actually do their jobs. Like, I have the audacity to expect people to wear their uniforms, which not that big a deal, but they told me that that's what we're supposed to do, so I was doing it. And I expected them to actually keep the grill put together until we were closed, because we have to make food. If a customer pulls in 2 minutes before closing time, we still have to make their food. And they all want to get out of there as soon as the store is closed. Just close the door and walk out. So they had stuff taken apart, and they expected me to tell customers, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're out of that. We're out of that. We're out of that," at night. And that just seemed wrong to me. But I turned in my resignation the next day. Gave them... What is beeping? I hadn't... Engine was mad at me for not touching the controls. So I turned in my resignation the next day, gave them a month's advance notice that I was leaving. And that day I was leaving was this past Sunday. And just all around bad month. Got chewed out a couple of times, like, why are you leaving us? Why are you abandoning us? And told them why, and they weren't happy about that. It's like, why do you tell us this now? Why didn't you tell us so we could fix it? And it's like, you can still fix it now. You got a month to convince me to stay if you actually want me to stay. And it wound up being a month of lots of people still not doing their jobs, and me having to pick up a lot of slack. Pretty much every single day I came in, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm cleaning up after the breakfast crew. And God, it was awful. I know. And so I'm still the hardest working manager there, and still getting paid the least, which is such a frustrating position to be in. And so we get to the last week or so, and got manager at a local gas station trying to convince me to jump ship there. So I've pretty much cemented the fact that I'm leaving my store. I've given up entirely at this point, and just there's this confluence of awful stuff that happens all in one week. Um, First up was there was this elderly couple that came in every single day I worked, every single day, for almost 2 years, and I understand they'd been coming there every day for considerably longer than that. And the husband of the couple started having some issues with his throat. He was throwing up a lot of blood, and he passed away last Friday before last, so 2 weeks from tomorrow. This is going up on Thursday, I believe. And that was pretty rough. We've been trying to. I don't handle death very well. I don't interact with other people very often on that sort of thing. I don't believe in God or any kind of afterlife, so I really don't know how to. I don't really understand how to talk to someone who's just lost someone like that. I mean, my own dealings with friends and family members dying have been completely and utterly detached, because a lot of that sort of thing either hasn't happened yet. Most of my grandparents are still alive, or it happened when I was so young that I thought they were angels now. And I had a couple friends die while I was off at college, and I wasn't able to afford to come back to go to any of their funerals. So they're, as far as my brain's concerned, they just left the city and never came back, like half the other people I graduated with and have never seen again. Oh, why am I still doing 20? The speed limit's 70 here. I don't know how to talk to them, for one, and so I just tried to be there for her. I offered to come over and help her take care of her little dog if she needed it, and she turned me down because she's that kind of person. She doesn't want my help. She was just happy to have a friendly face to come in and buy tea from every day. And so already pretty upset over that, because they were good friends. The closest thing to friends I saw them more than my own grandparents, and I was probably closer to them than my own grandparents, actually. And they're doing all right. Well, Viola's doing all right now, last I heard. Probably ought to go check on her at some point. I found out where they lived after a really bad thunderstorm. I wound up taking pictures of the tree that had fallen on their house, not realizing it was them. And probably ought to go check on her. But so that night, I had to close with another manager. And this is the manager that's supposed to be the person that is second in charge of the entire store. This is the Friday, 8 days before my last day. And so this is one of my superiors who's working in the kitchen. I'm supposedly running the shift, and she's just a cook. And we had a brand new employee. He was one of the most upright and honest people I've ever worked with. He'd learned everything extremely fast. I found out later he's worked like a 5-star kitchen before, so I don't know what he's doing at a fast food place, but not my place to ask. And he's learning everything right. He's doing things the right way. We had a confrontation with a customer out in the lobby, and he was out there ready to throw the guy out the door, I think, if he'd caused an issue. And which is probably not what corporate would want to hear. But it made me feel a lot better anyway, because customers can get scary sometimes. And so I'm in the back working with, so he's in the back with the manager, and it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and the manager's taking stuff apart, and we don't close until almost midnight on Fridays. So they're taking stuff apart, not putting it back together, and so I went back there. I asked the manager, why are you teaching this new employee these awful habits? Like, I can barely get the people who've been here for ages to do this job right, and you've got this blank slate and you're teaching him the wrong stuff. It's like, do you want him to do this job right or not? And she started screaming and cursing at me, and so I said, okay, fine, have a great time closing yourself. And I went and got my cash register, started counting that down, and told her I was leaving. And she wouldn't even let me touch the money in my register. She kicked me right out of the store when I did that. And told me I was fired. I wasn't fired. So, yeah, I wound up getting a write-up for that, which I refused to sign because I couldn't send her home. She's one of my superiors, so what am I supposed to do? Stand there and let her yell at me? So, they were fine. They weren't that busy that night. That was pretty upset. I mean, I wound up just coming home and calling my mother and crying for a few hours, like between that and Viola's husband dying, all on the same day. I was just pretty crushed by that. And, didn't wind up getting fired, but had to work my last week with them. That was the nail in the coffin, though. That was the moment I knew, it's like, they're not interested in changing anything. And so I tried to work out the rest of the week, and then wound up losing 2 days off of that, so that paycheck's gonna be awful when I finally get it. And get around to my first day back. Everyone had assumed I was fired. I'd assumed I was fired. And they're like, oh, no, you're not fired. We talked to Human Resources. You're not fired. Congratulations. You're quitting at the end of the week, but you're not fired. Came back in, and probably the best moment was when the new employee came up to me and said he was incredibly proud of me for actually standing up to the other managers. Like, he thought that was so impressive. I'm like, okay. That made me feel a lot better, at least. So he realized that he was being taught the wrong stuff, which I like. I feel like if he's going to wind up in charge of the kitchen, they're going to be in a good spot. And I hope he winds up in charge of the kitchen. But basically, first day back, I no longer give a shit about this job. I really don't care. And about 2 hours in, and this short, little evil Russian man who's always incredibly mean to everyone he talks to. He's for one, he's really difficult to understand because his accent is so incredibly thick, and he's always just really rude to us because we don't understand him, and he doesn't seem to understand that he's difficult to understand. So he gets angry at us for not understanding what he probably views as his perfect English. And he opened his order with a nasty comment about my breast not being very big. It's like, yay! And I told him, okay, have a great day, get out. I was the manager on duty at the time, so I can do that. I told him to get out of the store. He's like, no, I'm customer, you are going to serve me. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm refusing you service because you're always incredibly rude to me. Every time you come into the store, he's like, I demand to speak to a manager. I'm like, sir, I am the manager. Get out. That felt so good. Guy started yelling, pitching a fit, and I had to threaten to call the police on him and have him arrested for trespassing. He's standing there screaming, what are you going to tell police I did? What are you going to tell them? I'm going to tell them I told you to leave and that you are now trespassing on private property. Get out. And wound up just standing there calmly with this guy yelling in my face saying, sir, please leave. Sir, please leave. Sir, please leave. Over and over again until he finally just turned around and left. I turned around and that new employee is standing right behind me with his arms crossed. Apparently he had been staring this Russian guy down and I hadn't noticed. So that was mildly entertaining. He'd come in and been ready to throw the guy out the window, I think. Probably would have fit through the drive-through window. He was a pretty tiny man. So that was guy never wound up calling to complain, which I found interesting. I'm very surprised he didn't call to complain. He must have realized that he'd really pissed me off when he said that. Oh, shit. Going through that a bit harsh. Yeah, well, that was a bit of a mistake there. Probably could have easily derailed that. I don't think I like the brakes very much on this train. They don't seem to respond terribly well. Yeah, I know I'm speeding still. Working on it. But, so that was the excitement of my first day back. Second day back, is pretty nice and normal. Wound up working with that one cook that I really didn't like anymore. The one I'd been trying to get off my shifts for a while. He's still got a job. He's turned in his 2 weeks notice at this point, but he keeps postponing it every other week. And so he'd been threatening to quit for like 2 months now. But he was still there. So he's working that shift. Everything goes pretty well. He feels like he does everything because he starts closing so early. He winds up having to clean everything twice and work twice as hard as everyone else, which he does to himself. So I have no sympathy for him. If you just close once, clean everything once, you get out of the store an hour after you close. It's not 15 minutes after you close, but you don't wind up having to do everything twice. There's ways to do the job right, is all I'm saying. And so we work with him. It goes pretty smoothly. We get out of there about half hour after we close, I think, because he'd started doing stuff early. Next day, he shows up 10 minutes late. And so luckily I had a really great cook there before him. One of the afternoon guys is just one of the most reliable person on that shift probably. And he'd stuck around because he was it was one cook scheduled till 4, another cook supposed to come in at 4 and take over, which is dumb. You should never have a single cook scheduled at a time in a fast food restaurant. Can you imagine walking into McDonald's and looking in the kitchen and seeing only one person? No. And he's just got this really awful attitude. He's muttering under his breath and cursing and kind of in a little bit of a scary way, like you've probably been drinking or something today and you're kind of scaring me. And so the other cook goes home 45 minutes after he was supposed to. And I thank him again for staying super late. 5 o'clock comes around. That's when the next cook is supposed to come in, the secondary cook for the evening, and doesn't show up. And the first cook, who himself was 10 minutes late, starts complaining really loudly. And that this other person doesn't take his job seriously and hasn't shown up for work yet. So finally gets to where that one's about 10 minutes late. So basically I gave him the same amount of grace time as the first one. And we're starting to get a little busy because it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. People are starting to get off work and come through a drive-through lane. Got 2 cashiers and myself and 1 cook, which is kind of unbalanced. He's starting to get pissed off because he's got a lot of food to make, and I try and get back there to help him, and he rushes through the rest of the burgers he's got, and I make a sandwich he skipped, and he starts getting mad at me. And I've at this point already tried calling the second cook, and he hasn't answered, so I have no idea what's going on there, and haven't had time to try and call anyone else in. So this guy starts yelling about how we need to call the general manager. Finally I said, forget it. Clock out and go home. It's like, I'll close the store myself to not have to listen to you anymore. Clock out and go home. And he starts screaming and threatening to seriously hurt me. But he goes up front and he clocks out and starts to walk out the door. Then realizes that he left all his stuff in the back. Comes back in shirtless because he's thrown off his uniform and just thrown it on the ground outside. And goes into the back, grabs his stuff, and on his way out the door, he grabs a bucket off of our chicken table. And so we sell fried chicken at that store. And grabs a bucket full of chicken breader. And this is the breading, the crispy brown stuff that goes on the outside of the fried chicken. And it's just kind of white and powdery at that stage, but it's had raw chicken rolled in it. And he takes this huge bin of it and chucks it across the kitchen. So stuff goes everywhere. And I didn't even notice it at first because I'd been trying to just get him out the door. And finally he's shoves me into a wall on his way out and starts threatening to beat the crap out of me. His girlfriend is one of the cashiers, ironically enough. And so of course that led to a wonderful work environment there. And she hustles him out the door because I'm calling the cops at that point because he smashed me into a wall. And it was threatening to seriously hurt me. So I'm calling the police and get that done. Call the store owner, like, hey, I can't make food right now because there's raw chicken stuff all over the kitchen. She's like, well, you can't close. I'm like, well, I'm not making burgers on a thing covered in raw chicken. So get your butt up here and help me help me clean this up if you want us to open up again. And I said it much politer than that, but anyway, call the district guy, and he's pissed off because I've effectively closed the store at that point. It's like, again, raw chicken all over the kitchen. Can't make food like this. And police still haven't gotten there yet. Store owner still hasn't gotten there yet. I'm still shaking because I just got attacked by an employee that I tried to get fired a month before because I knew something stupid like this was going to happen. I never thought he'd get violent. That surprised me, honestly. But so yeah, that all happened. We actually wound up getting it cleaned up pretty quick once we I found a disposable camera for that sort of situation in the office, got photos of it, and left that for them. Talked to the police, and since the guy didn't damage anything, they couldn't charge him with vandalism, and I declined to press charges for assault, so nothing's going to happen there. I'd just rather not see the guy ever again, and I wasn't seriously hurt or anything. I just bounced off the wall, and just calling them had solved that problem because they got him to leave. And definitely very frightened of him. I was very cautious leaving work the rest of that week. I haven't been threatened very often in my life, so that was a new experience for me. And since his girlfriend was working there, he was back up by the store very often. I told him, if you come on the store property, I'm calling the police again. So you better be picking her up somewhere else. So that was the third day I came back. We got everything cleaned up. It was probably about 15 minutes from where we started cleaning to where we were able to serve food again. We had some fried chicken made, and a couple customers came in and got stuff that we were able to do up front, like milkshakes, that sort of thing. And we got to where we could make burgers again, started doing that. And it still took us all the rest of the night to get all the chicken stuff cleaned up, but a lot of that stuff really needed it. There was this one drawer full of tools that I'd pulled out. It probably hadn't been cleaned in about a year, which in a fast food kitchen, that's bad. That's really bad. That was so much grease. And store manager was there helping me clean, and then that new employee I mentioned earlier came in and was helping us. Because, he's going to work out pretty well for that store, I think, as long as he doesn't quit after that week he's had. And so he winds up helping clean. We're there till about midnight cleaning up on a weekday, which weekday we close at like 10 o'clock. So midnight's pretty crazy late to stay at the store. And next night closed with him again. I got a day off, and then my last day is that Sunday. And the rest of the week was pretty uneventful, but get around to my final day, and I thought I was closing on that day. Turns out I was supposed to work a lunch shift, so I get a call, wakes me up at 11 o'clock, like, hey, where are you? It's like, I'll be there in 30 minutes. Wash myself, get there real quick. Work my last day, and no one tried to convince me to stay, except the one manager who knows that she's going to have to actually do her job a little more often, so she was trying to convince me to stick around because she doesn't want to have to work harder. Again, she gets paid like double what I do. So that's hence the frustration with that state of employment. Just awful situation all around. The chicken guy did get fired over that finally. And that's what it took. It was him attacking me, physically attacking me, to get him removed from the store. But so yeah, eventful final week. Last day of working there. I'm still doing stuff that the other managers don't want to do. Like they had a new sandwich starting on Monday, and I prepped all the new menu boards for that and changed out the ones I could that didn't have the new sandwich on it just yet. Got that all ready for them. So it was just like, pull out the old menu board, slide this one in, and you're good to go. Did pretty much all of it for them. I don't know what they're going to do without me there. Because I found out over the course of that shift that of all the people working there, like the general manager didn't work that day because she never works Sundays because she has church. Forgetting the fact that everyone else who works there, aside from myself and the breakfast manager, are all Christians and want to go to church. Only the general manager actually gets to go to church. I'm still kind of bitter about this all, aren't I? Yeah. But, I don't mind working Sundays, but I realized over the course of that shift, there's a new burger starting the next day. The only person in the entire store that day who knew how to make that sandwich was me. And I'd never have to make the sandwich because that was my last day, and it started the next day. No one else in the store had been trained on it yet, and none of the other managers had any clue what the sandwich was. So that tells you how much they prepared with a month's advance notice that I was leaving. As they were that level of prepared to where the day I walked out and never came back to the store again, I was the only person in the store who knew how to make a sandwich that started the next day. So I don't know how that turned out. It's an easy sandwich, so I can't imagine it was too terribly complicated. It was just frustrating. Even on my last day of work, I still cared more than anyone else that was there. We got the Cascade Mountains coming up ahead of us. Sierra Nevada? Cascades? I don't know. Mountains! Mountains, Gandalf! Mountains! I'm not sure I'm going to be able to stop in time. Oh yeah, so I also have a couple of cars lined up at the station platform here. All right, unload. I was supposed to have the bell going when I pulled into the station, I think. I still don't know exactly what the all the protocols are for bell use with passenger trains. I think they just always have the bell going when they go through a station, anytime they're moving or about to move. That sounds right. So yeah, I am now unemployed. Spent the last 2 days sitting in my apartment doing a lot of nothing. It's felt good. I need to go out and look for a job. My sleep schedule's still all out of whack from those crazy night shifts I was working my last week of there. It's 2:30 in the morning right now to give you an idea of how messed up my sleep patterns are. Yeah. So that was that. Not sure where to go from there as far as the rest of this episode is concerned. I guess just kind of stuff I'm planning. I can talk about Train Simulator 2015. Yeah, that's the thing. Alright, so new version of the game came out. That launch was all kinds of interesting on Steam from what I was looking at. The community people for Dovetail need raises. I saw them catching so much crap for stuff they had no fault in. Like there was the way this works is every time they upgrade from one version of the game to another, anyone who owned the old version gets what they call the tech upgrade to the new version for free, which is just you get the new game. It works with all the old stuff, but you get the new physical, or not physical, the new framework to play the game in. But you have to rebuy the game if you want to get the new content. But the new content is generally stuff that has been available to the rest of the users for some time then. It's just available at a discounted price because new users who buy the game will get these 3 worlds instead of the ones that came with it to begin with. Like, I got this game back when it was called Railworks 2. Train Simulator 2012, I think? It was the first time they switched to Train Simulator instead of Railworks. But, the routes that I have are super, like the ones that came with it are super outdated and old now. Um, it was like one of the routes was not even a real thing. It was just a fictional route because they still did that back then. Um, I've got like it's Barstow to San Bernardino, I think, California, and what's the other map that came with that? The other American one. Cannot remember. I want to say it was a Burlington Northern route, but I don't think it was. No, I think it was just a bunch of BNSF stuff for the Cajon Pass route. Cajun Pass? Cajon. I don't actually know how to say it out loud. It's never come up in conversation before. I was assuming it's Cajon Pass. I'm just going to call it Barstow to San Bernardino, because I know how to say those words. Yeah, I think all the rest of the routes I had for that were German or UK. Good stuff. But so every year since, if I've wanted any of the new content after that, I've had to buy DLC and updates and that sort of thing. Like this is a DLC map called Maria's Pass. I think it was included in Train Simulator 2014, maybe? No, Donner Pass was in 2014. I think this was in like one of the special editions of the game or something that you could get on Steam. Good map. This is one of my favorite downloads for the game. Again, Maria's Pass. You can also get Stevens Pass, which is basically the next 100 or so miles of this route after this. So it's pretty neat that they those two are so close together and both available here. But you get the framework upgrade, but you don't get the new routes, which every year pisses off a bunch of people that think they're entitled to a bunch of free stuff just because they bought the game a year before. Which I don't get that mindset. It's like, you want the new stuff? Just buy the new stuff. It's available at this crazy discount. Like, and the prices for Train Simulator content are astronomical. This route, standalone, nothing else with it, just the route and the few items that are included in the route. It's $40 normal price. No one in their right mind should ever actually pay $40 for this unless you just have that kind of money to throw away. I mean, Dovetail puts a ton of work into these, but $40 is kind of steep. The reason they price it is because there are people who will pay $40 for these. I admit I've paid full price for a couple of them because they were just so cool that I had to have them right then. And was not terribly responsible with all my purchases in the past. Northeast Corridor, I'm looking at you. And but they go on sale all the time. Or you can get, like right now there's a $50 bundle on Steam that has 4 routes in it for $10 more than any of those routes individually cost. So there's no reason for you to pay $40 for these levels. But people still, even with as often as they go on sale, expect them to come out for free for people who already own the game. Makes no sense. And people were demanding free stuff because Steam botched part of the release. There was this whole new tutorial thing included with this, which none of the people who have the game should need the tutorial anymore. It's all really stupid basic stuff. But it didn't instantly appear in the game when the new version came out, so a lot of people demanded free stuff for that. Which, ignoring the fact that the update actually did come with a new engine that was free for everybody. One of the bullet trains, I think. Class 801, if that means anything. To, that was included for free, and people were still demanding more free stuff on top of that, and angry that they didn't get the new routes and the new locomotives and stuff. Meanwhile, I'm happy because I already owned one of the routes, so that got a complete overhaul. Just free update for this content that I've owned for 6 months and finished with. And I also happen to have the Amtrak Acela train from the Northeast Corridor expansion pack ages and ages ago, 2012 I think, and that got updated and added to the new route. The New York to New Haven Northeast Corridor line. So that got updated to the new route, and those scenarios are so much fun to play. They're just gorgeous, gorgeous. But there's so many buildings that kind of bogs down the frame rate, so I didn't want to do that one for one of the recordings. I'm a little worried how that's going to turn out. I don't think it's going to be particularly watchable, but we'll see. I might try that soon. one of the next ones, because those really are fun routes to do. I crashed one of them pretty quickly because I wasn't paying attention to signals. But the new tutorials are actually really good. This is probably the best version of the game yet for people that are brand new to the series. It teaches you how to play quite nicely, much better than it has in previous versions, especially with the steam locomotives. I suck at driving steam locomotives, and they actually taught me how in this new version. And all that stuff was free to download even if you owned the old version of the game and not the new one. Plus, you can, I think it's still on sale for a couple more days. The launch package for the new one comes with London to Peterborough, some German route I can't pronounce, the Northeast Corridor, New York to New Haven line, which also includes Grand Central Terminal and a bunch of the Harlem stuff. That's pretty cool. If you got there's a subway train you can download on the side, and that adds a couple scenarios on that route. That's pretty neat. And then it also, the Steam version, the super fancy Steam version, also comes with San Diego to LA, the Pacific Surfliner route, which is another one of the really good ones. Glad to see that one got updated a little bit too. Yeah, Dovetail public relations, handling people quite expertly, I saw. Very professional people. Quite impressed. They caught a lot of shit for Steam's handling of the launch for this. The part that made me the angriest, I think, was the game released at the exact same time for everyone in the entire world. Same time. Same moment in time. Not noon everywhere, but I think it released at something like 11:45 Eastern Time that morning. And so Dovetail is based in the UK. So this is like 5 o'clock in the afternoon where they are. Coming up on 5 o'clock in the afternoon where they are. And this is supposed to be the day it's released, so people angry, of course, demanding free stuff already. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning on the west coast of the US. It's like the next day already in Australia. They've got people in Denmark begging for it, people in Germany. It was an interesting thread. All of them desperately trying to speak English and having difficulties doing so. I was pretty impressed. A couple of them spoke better English than a lot of Americans I know, actually. But basically everyone's super angry that it comes out so late, or in the case of this one particularly angry Australian person, that it was coming out on the next day, not the day he was promised it. It's like, do you all not understand how time zones work? It's like, yeah, Dovetail finished the game a week ago and got it uploaded to Steam, but Steam releases it when they get to work that day. Like, Train Simulator is not #1 priority for them, I guarantee it. Like, I'm sure Valve makes bank off of all the DLC that Train Simulator sells, but I don't think they're particularly worried about getting the brand new version of the game up at exactly midnight on the day it's released. This is not Call of Duty. People getting angry over that. That made me so upset. I just don't understand people. Why do you get angry over something stupid like that? It's a game. Come back to it. The old version was still perfectly playable on your computer. Up until the moment the new one came out, it all still worked. It's like, just... And the routes that were included with the new version, they were stuff that most of us already had. Like, I've had the Northeast Corridor route that was included with that for months now because it was the only route in the pack I was interested in. So I just bought it standalone one day when it was on sale. So it's not like there was actual new content coming out that people were waiting for. It's just the graphical upgrades and a few menu tweaks, that sort of thing. So yeah, Train Simulator 2015. Mixed feelings at first, but I'm suitably happy with the update. Looks pretty good. Let's see, what else is there to talk about this week? Nothing great for Assassin's Creed. Oh, I guess kind of as a... Yeah, there was Assassin's Creed news. I forgot about that. They're, one of the DLC packs for Assassin's Creed... what is it now? 6? Unity. Assassin's Creed Unity. That's right, they ditched the number for this one. Because it's supposed to be 5. Assassin's Creed 5 Unity, which is the 8th or 9th game in the series. Anyway, no more numbers, just subtitles now. One of the DLC things for Unity is going to be a female assassin in China, but it's not. It's not like full Assassin's Creed. Game is like 2.5D. It looked like reminded me of Shadow Complex is the game it looked most like. So that's different. I think is the word for that. I guess that was them trying to get ahead of the whole no female playable characters in Assassin's Creed thing. It's like here, there's a downloadable female character for the new game. There, stop complaining. Which works for me. That game is probably in development anyway, which is, I don't think that one was the bad one in that particular case. Far Cry 4, sorry, was the one that bugged me a little bit more there. But, it's all old news now. The big new game for me right now is Destiny. I put in quite a bit of time on that. I guess it gets a little repetitive for a lot of people. I think it's an incredibly fun repetitive. It reminds me a lot of how I used to every day I'd come home from school, and on my original Xbox I had 2 games. I had the original Splinter Cell and I had Halo. I got Crimson Skies eventually, but it was still Halo that I went back to. And it was the original Halo, and the level I played almost every day was Silent Cartographer. I had no friends to play with me, just enjoying the game because it was just that much fun over and over and over again. So I can handle repetitive. I played the Silent Cartographer probably every day for almost a year because Splinter Cell got to the point where it was too hard for me at that time, and I couldn't beat it. I can beat it now, no problem. And it's still actually a pretty hard game, the original Splinter Cell. A lot of difficult bits in there, and it gets kind of rough when it becomes a third-person shooter on you randomly a couple of times, makes you kill people. Let's think. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying Destiny. Very repetitive, but it's that what was it? Luke Timmons, I think, said it best once. I think it was Luke. I think Lukums, I think was the screen name he went by. Said it best when he said they got that 30 seconds of fun that they captured in the original Halo, and since then it's just trying to do that again, and succeeding and failing in various stages. And I think they definitely succeeded with Destiny. It felt kind of repetitive at first, but I keep going back to it. It's like as repetitive as it is, I still love playing it. So, definitely happy with that. The part that makes me the thing I just have gotten most annoyed with in Destiny is all the different currencies in that game are getting a little frustrating. I really kind of just want to be able to buy the crazy expensive stuff with the currency I've been building up so far. But I'm not apparently earning the right kinds of currency because I don't have strange coins or that many Vanguard marks. So all this glimmer I've accumulated, I just wind up spending on cheap weapons so I can dismantle them for parts to upgrade my good weapons. And special ammo synthesis packs. Those come in handy on some of the strikes. And, quite enjoying the bounty system in the game. That's at least very fun. You get a bounty and you got an excuse to go back and play a level over again. And of course playing with friends is the best part, though. Last time I came up on any of my friends, I jumped into their game and found them shooting at a cave in the side of a mountain, just killing stuff over and over again and getting the loot drops from it. So, apparently, it's like I guess if that's why people are complaining the game's repetitive, then yeah, that's pretty darn repetitive. But that's a repetitive that you have to opt in for right there. I think I'd just rather play a couple extra hours and get the same content, the same loot. I can't imagine that's very much more productive than just running around that same level, picking up spin metal and doing bounties and public events and just killing all the fallen that spawn in that particular level. There's a place in that level near where you appear in the overworld for the first time, when you finally crawl out from inside the wall. And you come out and it's trying to think what a good way to describe the buildings. There's a dam, and you're on a bunch of earth up behind the dam. And you'll know what if you've played the game, you'll know what I'm talking about, because the public event that happens there all the time is a dropship flies in and just drops a fallen walker right in the middle of this courtyard in the level. And I really love going there and just running around there, and the spin metal will respawn by the time you do a loop of the You do a loop of the arena, that particular section of the map, and the some of the loot chests will respawn, and some of the spin metal will respawn, and all of the enemies will respawn. You just keep going around and killing stuff. It's a great place to pick up fallen bounties based on killing them. I did the queen had a couple bounties for getting a bunch of headshots on fallen. I did most of those there, because the dregs respawn so fast. And there's this one dropship that comes in and drops off a whole bunch of vandals and usually a captain. Or not a captain, a major. A vandal, but it's a vandal with a yellow health bar, which is useful for the kill 10 fallen majors or ultras bounty that comes up pretty often. And so you wind up finding a whole bunch of loot that way. Probably about the same rate that you get from that stupid cave, I bet. I'm a little disappointed that the outfitter, the Guardian outfitter, the colors that she has available, like, you have to wait till level 20 to unlock armor shaders, and you finally unlock them, and she sells the same 5 every day. She never gets new colors. So I just want something blue. Why can't I have blue? Someone sent me a code to get a blue shader, so you can find it on. My friend Doc has a list of them all on a forum called Destiny Station on Pro Boards. You can look that up if you're interested. He's got a list of all the codes there. You can enter and get a bunch of free stuff. Don't think he's put what they're each for, but someone told me which one was for the blue armor shader, so I have that now. It's really blue. I'd like something like blue with tan or blue with gold accents, some combination of the dark blue and then a lighter color to set it off. I think would look the best, but nope, just got like crazy deep blue. It's called Double Banshee, I think. So yeah, enjoying Destiny. I haven't gotten to the raid yet. I'm only level 24 right now. Having a little trouble coming by the crazy expensive armor stuff, but that's currently mostly a matter of getting enough Vanguard marks to buy them straight up from the Titan Vanguard. I play a Titan, of course. I'm a Halo geek, of course I went for the Titan. And the Defender subclass, because I love being able to just poop out a bubble shield whenever I need one. This is the best weapon from Halo 3. The best defensive thing is just boop, bubble shield. And I change up how that works out depending on whether I'm with a group or with myself. Because if I'm with myself, I've got the melee ability for the Defender subclass. Gives you a force barrier, I think they call it. Just extra shielding on top of your normal shield. And when I'm just playing alone, I have the side effect being that whenever the force barrier is active, my weapons reload and switch really fast, which is great for me. Doesn't help anyone else, though. And when I'm playing in a group, I change it to make it so that when I get melee kills when I'm running around with the force barrier active, then it pops out orbs of light from my allies, which gets them supers faster and gets my bubble shield recharged faster. So that works out pretty well. So I like generating free orbs of light for my allies, because you only get 2 from the Ward of Dawn, the bubble shield. So finding ways to make more is quite useful, because they get to just kill a bunch of people and get a bunch of orbs of light out of that, whereas my super doesn't actually kill people since I'm in Defender subclass now, which makes that one bounty really tough. I'll be the first to admit. I have to switch back to Striker when I get that one. Honestly, I've been just trying to get away from buying disc-based games in general. And of the 4 Xbox One games I have, only one of them is actually a disc, and that's the one that came with the console. That's Forza 5. And that hasn't really left the Xbox in a long time, except when I tried to use the thing as a DVD player, I realized it was terrible at that. Though there is actually one disc-based game I might buy. I might buy the Halo Master Chief Collection on disc, because they kind of want to put that up with. I have the Halo 3 Legendary Edition helmet above my table here. If you can't tell, I really like that series. So I'd kind of like a disc-based copy of that one, just for the sake of having it as a display thing of nothing else. I don't know if they've announced a collector's edition of that game, have they? Losing all my speed. Probably making any train stuck behind me very angry. Somewhere in the middle of Montana, there's a signal operator like, what is this person doing? I don't know what that sound was. That sound was me running out of things to talk about, I think. Probably ought to be coming up on another station here at some point. Let's see, what else came out this week? I played, kind of a weird one actually, Quake Live. I got to play a little bit of that. The Stream Friends on twitch.tv/streamfriends. Kelsey and Obi-Swan, Anthony. Anthony? Andrew? Obi-Swan. They played some Quake Live and they asked a bunch of us to join in, so we all jumped in and played with them. That's up on their Twitch past broadcasts. I don't have any voice in there. I just popped in because I could. But that was pretty fun. It's the first time I've actually appeared in a Stream Friends broadcast, so that's cool. Just like sneak in there on the side. I've entertained a few of the other chat members from the Stream Friends broadcast on Twitch a few times. Just after they finish, I'll do something stupid like stream this, or Fibbage was a pretty popular one. I got a few of those up on. I think I put a few of those onto YouTube. They're all still up on Twitch. If you haven't seen those yet, it's twitch.tv/AzureAngel17. AZUREANGEL17. That was AZURE for my Canadian friends. This is a good fit for my Workaholic series, I think. Again, Workaholic, if you got this far and didn't already know, is a series where I play stupidly boring video games like this because the kind of video game I like tends to be doing something that someone else would consider a job. So here I am, playing that kind of video game once again. In this case, the job is that of a train engineer. Previous episodes have included being a airplane pilot. Did one of those live, actually. A VFR flight from past the volcano at Kilauea in Microsoft Flight. The first episode in Microsoft Flight had some great bloopers out of that I also uploaded, I think. Me trying to record this over and over again and starting over and over again. Haven't started, well, okay, technically started over once with this, but that was because the game crashed. Whatever you do, don't Alt-Tab out. Oh, we got a station coming up. And, yeah, I Alt-Tabbed out to check the recording, and game crashed on me. So that was a little weird. Alright, coming up on Essex Station here. But I play, I think what was the other job I did? Did airplane pilot. I've done Kerbal Space Program. I don't know if I counted that as a Workaholic or not. Done some spin tires, don't know if I counted those. I don't think I did. Played some City Bus Simulator, that's never coming back. That game was awful, awful, awful. Bink. Load up passengers from the one car that is parked in front of the station. Pretty good. I think that's where the actual train would have stopped, because that would be the first class coach up here, and you don't want to be interrupting them by having people walking through. And cafe car is a good one to have people congregate in while they're trying to find what seat is theirs. Alright, we good? I think we're good. Alright. Depressurize the brakes, and we'll be off again in a moment. Might call it there. Am I going to call it there? Oh, so... a couple of fun things that have happened in the last month. A couple of the YouTube channels and such that I follow have started Patreons that I'm actually supporting, because these are I consume a lot of their content and I like supporting them. So I just want to put those out there. So I'll put links in the video description to find these. First one is Kurt J. Mack, does the Farlands or Bust charity, or not a live stream, but, well, sometimes live streams. Farlands or Bust, which is a YouTube series where he's trying to walk to the Farlands in Minecraft Beta 1.8, I believe. And that's a fantastic series, and he started a Patreon, so I'm contributing to that because I never want him to stop because those are just so fantastic. It's better than any podcast I listen to. This is so good. I'd urge you to go there. If you don't want to contribute to his Patreon, then donate to Child's Play through his little widget there, farlandsorbust.com. And let's see, the other one, podcast I listen to all the time, Limited Resources. They do Magic the Gathering stuff. They do big set reviews every time a new set comes out, and then they help you become better at playing Magic, so you can win more packs of Magic cards, which is what you want. We play this game to win. Let's be honest. And I want the most bang for my buck, and you should too. So you want to get good at Limited, because you don't want to be spending stupid, crazy amounts of money on Standard, because that's a waste of time. You want the one where everyone who sits down at the table is on the same footing, supposedly on the same footing, because they're all opening their cards right then and there. But you want to have the advantage, so that's why you go to Limited Resources. They teach you how to be a better Magic player, so you walk away from your games with more Magic cards than anyone else. They could get you to make the most out of your buck. That's why they're awesome. They started Patreon. I don't think they've even done a single podcast since they started the Patreon. It launched last week with the Khans of Tarkir Uncommons and Commons set review. So go check that out if you like Magic the Gathering. It's a great podcast to support. They're the only reason I've ever won any game of Magic. I blame them, because Lord knows I didn't learn it from Loading Ready Run. Love them too, but they do some weird stuff when they play Magic. But yeah, Limited Resources, they're great. They have drafts you can watch on YouTube, on magicthegathering.com. And of course, they've got their podcast, which is what you should support. So go support them, check them out. They're both on Patreon. That's Kurt J. Mack from Farlands or Bust, and Marshall Sutcliffe and Brian Wong. Yes, Brian Wong. I know names. I don't know why I stumbled over that. Brian Wong. And they're from Limited Resources. Go check them out. Links are in the thing below. I think that's going to be it for me today. Got our passengers on board, heading back into the mountain pass here. Going to have to cut it short there. You don't want to watch me drive this entire route. I've probably taken up like an hour already, just talking about nothing. So, gonna call it there. Thank you again for watching. Have a great morning, afternoon, night, whatever it is where you are. I don't know where I was going with this outro, so let's just cut it there. Thank you once again. Have a good one.